everyone. Thank you so much for joining our webinar this afternoon, 3 ways to tell if SEO is bringing value to your business. We look forward to sharing with you at least 3 ways you can tell if SEO is bringing some value and how to figure that out. Just to let you know who we are, if you're not familiar, we're Results Repeat. We're a digital marketing agency focused on helping our clients grow their revenue through digital channels, specifically through designing and developing websites, doing search engine optimization, and digital advertising on nearly every platform. Of course, the subject today is SEO, and we have our Director of SEO here to give this webinar, David Tischler. I know David's planning to introduce himself, so I will not steal that from him. So without further ado, I'll let David jump in here with the webinar. We'll have about 15 to 20 minutes of presentation, and then we'll have a few minutes of Q&A at the end. Throughout the presentation, you may see a few polls pop up. Be sure to respond to those when and if you see them. Thank you again for being here. And David, I'll let you take it over from here.
Right. Thank you, Carissa. And welcome, everybody. Today, we're presenting 3 ways to tell if SEO is bringing value to your business. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is David Tischler. I have been in the SEO game since 2003. I have worked on every level of business. From enterprise all the way down to mom and pop shops. I've been both on in-house team and I've worked on the agency side as well. All right, so today our agenda is right in front of you here. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about the 3 different things that are important to knowing if SEO brings value. The most important thing is understanding really what is SEO and what are the goals that you have, different types of websites. And we'll be getting into that in the next slides. Then we're going to talk a little bit about rankings versus visibility. And we'll get into why just looking at your keyword rankings alone isn't necessarily the best way to figure out how you're doing. We're also going to look at the different metrics and KPIs. And then a really important factor here in knowing, is your data accurate? So we'll go over a few things there. And then a big one here is calculating your return on investment. How do you know if you're getting value, if it's worth what you're spending on it? And then a little afterthought here, I'm going to talk about a question that I get all the time, which is, how long does SEO take? After that, we'll do a little question and answer session. So if you have any questions, please save it for that or send them in the chat to Carissa, and she will get those going when we get to that section. Right, so let's get moving right along here. I always like to define SEO when I do these presentations because I find that there are so many different understandings and definitions of it. This one here comes from one of the well-recognized SEO forums that we use, searchengineland.com. And they define SEO as SEO stands for search engine optimization. So in simple terms, it means the process of improving your site to increase visibility when people search for products or services related to your business. So that could be in Google, Bing, or other search engines. The better your visibility your pages have in the search results, the more likely you are to garner attention and attract prospective and existing customers to your business. Pretty straightforward definition, but it's definitely one of the best ones I've seen out there. Okay, sorry about that. The next thing I want to talk about here is keyword ranking versus site visibility. Now, so many times I have people come to me and what they say is, oh, I'm not ranking for this particular keyword, or my rankings could be better for that particular keyword. And I understand that that's an important way to look at it, and that people like to check that often. But it's not the most accurate way. And the reason is, there's actually a few different reasons. And what that is one, personalized results. So when you're signed into Google, they take your personal search history into account, and they give everybody slightly different results based on the queries and the history and the things that you've looked at. The other thing is called semantic indexing. And what that means is Google now has the capacity to understand that one keyword may mean the same thing, and or there may be literally hundreds of other keywords that are related to that keyword. So looking at one keyword or one set of keywords in particular isn't the best way to answer that. So what we like to look at is the visibility trend as a whole. Are we going in the right direction with all of our potentially thousands of keywords? A lot of people don't know where to find this. This you would find in Google Search Console, what used to be called Google Webmaster Tools. And if you are not set up in this or you have questions about how to set this up, we can certainly discuss that with you, moving forward. But if you go into Google Search Console and you have your website set up there and you go to the performance report, you can set the time period and you can see the trend. So this slide here, you can see that there is an upward trend for visibility, and it's moving in the right direction. And that's what we're looking for as a whole. All right. The next thing is to understand what are the goals of your website. So there are several different types of websites out there. Some of them include informative sites. So the goal there is to provide information or simply to demonstrate an online presence. That could be to get a loan from a bank or to get the interest of investors. Another type is brand awareness. You've probably seen these: Coca-Cola, Lay's, Pepsi, all these big brands that they just want to have their name out there in front of you. Then there's also lead generation, which is likely the most popular type of website that we deal with. And then there's e-commerce, so online sales of products or services, or fundraising. And then the last type here is entertainment, to generate ad revenue as a business. So to build an audience in order to sell ads. So let's talk a little bit about the different metrics or the different key performance indicators that we would use for the different types of websites. So for three of these, I'm going to do these three all at once in order to save some time here and not have to go through every one individually, because these all use basically the same metrics. And what we're looking at here is how many eyeballs are on my site, how many people are finding me, and are they spending time on my site. So in this one, we're looking at the number of sessions that come in, how many of those are new users, what's the average session duration, how long are they spending on our site, how much are they engaged with our site, and how many pages do they look at. And then on the visibility side, we're looking at how many times did my website come up in the search results? What is my click-through rate? So how many of those people that saw this in the search results actually clicked through and went to visit? And then we're looking at what is my average position within the search results. So moving right along here, let's talk a little bit about a lead generation site. So you'll notice that a lot of these are the same. So these sessions, new users, page views, the impressions, click-through rate, average position is there. But there's a couple of other things we look at here. How many goals were completed, and what is your goal conversion rate? And then in the yellow here, you're going to see that we've broken this down to the different goals. So we know how many people are clicking to make a phone call, how many people have filled out a form, or how many people have sent an email from the website. So those are the really important things to understand if you have a lead generation site. When we get into e-commerce, what we're looking for here, and this could be for fundraising, it could be for online sales, we're looking at revenue numbers and we're looking at transactions. Now, you'll notice in the chart here, we're still looking at the number of sessions, view users, session duration. We're also now looking at what is an e-commerce conversion rate, what is the revenue here for each of these pages. So we can look at it not only for the website as a whole, but also for each individual page and make adjustments as necessary. And then the other thing we look at here as far as visibility, not only are we looking at all queries, but we want to know what keywords that are not branded, that are not related to the name of your company or your particular brand here as well. So it's important to separate that out and really get a better understanding of whether the work we're doing for SEO is paying off for you. All right. Now, the biggest thing that I see in being able to calculate whether your SEO is giving value to you is that your analytics are not set up correctly. So we see a lot of common mistakes here. Improper placement of the analytics tab, failure to ensure that it's on every page of your website, not just on your homepage. You'd be surprised how often we see that. Errors in configuring the data for the goals and triggers. So, for instance, if the conversion is not set up right, it could potentially count twice or not count a particular goal there. And now your data is skewed. You don't have that. So it's really, really important to make sure that your data is correct. To that end, we do have available, if you're not sure whether your analytics are set up properly, especially since there's a big transfer now from the universal analytics that everybody's been using for years to the new GA4, which can be frightening and difficult to do. We are happy to do a complimentary audit or analysis of your setup for your goal conversions and your analytics, just to make sure everything's right. Just reach out to Carissa or myself at the end of this, and we'll make sure to get that going for you. Now, two of the other things that we see as far as common mistakes are forgetting to link Search Console data, which, remember I said, brings the visibility in, and you can see if you're trending in the right direction. And for those doing paid ads and bringing in information from third-party data streams, they either forget or they don't know how to link that to your analytics so that you have all your information in one place. And then the last common thing I see is that for e-commerce sites, people really, they just don't turn on the setting in analytics for e-commerce data. And there's a lot of formulas and information that are built into that you really need in order to make sure everything is right. So again, if you have questions about that and you're not sure if you're set up properly, please reach out to us. We'll be happy to do an audit and let you know. Okay, so let's talk about how to calculate your return on investment for SEO. So there is actually a formula for this, and it goes SEO return on investment equals the value of your conversions minus the cost of your investment divided by the cost of your investment times 100. That's how you get the percentage of ROI. Now, there's a couple of different things you have to know here. You have to know, what does it cost me? So if you have an SEO person in-house, yeah, or multiples, and you don't have an agency, you have to think salaries. Are you paying freelancers? Are you paying for tools? What does it cost you to train and manage everybody? And so there's a lot of costs involved with that. When you outsource with an agency, like Results Repeat, what you usually pay is one monthly retainer. This usually includes all of your tools, and you don't have to have the salaries and all that. And we would work with your marketing people that you do have in-house. The next thing you need to know is the value of these conversions. So for an e-commerce site, this is easy, right? How much increase in revenue and number of transactions are coming in from organic traffic or non-paid traffic. So really easy to calculate that. for lead generation sites, this can be really confusing. So for every conversion, we have to assign a value. We have to know how much is that worth to us. You should know every time you do get a new client, how much is the lifetime value of that client? And I'll get into that a little bit on the next slide. For each client or customer that converts, that turns into an ongoing sale. And then you also should know your close rate of the qualified leads that you're getting in. What's the percentage of leads that you're closing, that you're actually turning into business? So I know this can all be confusing, so let's look at an example of this. So for this example, I'm going to make some assumptions. Okay? I'm going to say, let's say we have a plumbing business, and you have calculated that your average client stays with you for 5 years, and they have an average spend of $850 a year. So now we have to calculate the lifetime value of that client. So $850 times 5 years, we have an average lifetime value of $4,250. Let's also assume that you have a low close rate here of 5%, and that you receive on average 75 qualified leads per month from SEO. So 75 times 5% equals 3.75. Let's be conservative here. Let's just say that you're getting 3 closed sales from those 75 qualified leads. And let's assume that your SEO is costing you $1,000 a month. So 3 leads times an average lifetime value of $4,250 is $12,750. So now that we've made those assumptions and we have that data, we can plug it into our formula. Before I do that, there are different things that can tell whether this is worth it or not. You may have a low close rate and you may only get 20 qualified leads per month. So at that point, you have to judge what the ROI is here and whether it's worth it for you. And that's the whole purpose of this. So you know whether you're getting value from your SEO investment or not. So let's go ahead and move forward with this. So let's take our value of conversions, which is $12,750, and let's subtract our cost from that. We are talking on a monthly basis here. So minus $1,000. Then we're going to take that. So you have $11,750 now divided by $1,000. And then we times that by 100 to get the percentage. So if you have a 5% close rate and you're getting 75 qualified leads per month, your average lifetime value for your client is $4,250. You now have a return of investment on your SEO of 1,175%, which would make it worth it. Now, if you were only getting 25 qualified leads per month and or 20 and had a close rate of 5%, this might not be worth it. There might not be a positive return on investment here. So that's where you have to make that determination. And that's what this is going to help you do. All right. So let me get into a couple of surveys that I found recently. So Search Engine Journal, another one of the well-respected trades that we follow very often, they did a survey of digital marketing professionals. And what they asked was, what digital marketing channel has the highest return on investment for your website or for your client's website? The cool thing here is if you look at the red bar, that's organic search. That is search engine optimization, and that is 49% compared to 18% for social media, 19% for paid search, or 14% for email channels. So it is by far the highest return on investment for your advertising dollar. Okay. So I want to jump into the question I get so often is, how long does SEO take? So I'm going to read my long answer here, but the short answer is for as long as you'd like to stay competitive. your business and your website are ever evolving entities. Your website content, it has to change in order to keep pace with an ever changing marketplace. Thus, SEO is a vital ongoing line item in your marketing mix if you desire to outpace your competitors. So I know people want to go, okay, I'll spend it for a couple of months and then I'll stop that spend. And what happens is you're no longer keeping up with your competitors. You're no longer keeping up with all the changes that happen. Google changes their algorithm all the time. Your competitors change what they're doing. So it is an ongoing line item. All right, so look, let's just summarize what we've talked about real quick here. The first thing you need to do to know if you're getting value is to understand what's the purpose or the goal of your website. Are you an informative site? Are you an e-commerce site? Are you a lead generation site, etc.? Next, rather than looking at specific keywords, let's look at the trend, because you're probably ranking for a couple of hundred keywords you don't realize you're ranking for. Right? Next, am I using the correct key performance indicators to monitor my progress? And the most important thing here is my data accurate? With bad data, you make bad decisions, you have bad information. Really important to have this. Again, reach out to us if you want us to do an audit for you. And finally, calculate your return on investment. So we talked about SEO as an ongoing line item. We talked about the formula that you need in order to do that. So I hope that this brought some value to you, and I hope that we can help you along your path to being successful and generating return on investment. So at this point, I will turn it over to the question and answer section here.
Thanks, David. So a few things I want to touch on before we jump into our Q&A. Welcome to anybody who joined just after we got started. If you're interested in a complimentary review of your analytics and just making sure that your conversion tracking is set up properly, you can shoot us an email or fill out the contact form on our website and we'll get back to you right away to help you out with that. I also wanted to mention a lot of the metrics screenshots that David pulled. Hopefully most of you know this, but were pulled from Google Analytics. We are doing a Google Analytics webinar next month, how to set up conversion tracking in GA4, which hopefully you know is coming, or Universal Analytics is being phased out as of summer. So we're focusing on setting up conversion tracking in Google Analytics 4. So if you're interested in how to do that, make sure you RSVP to our next webinar. And then for our questions for today, David, one great question we have: how do you think Google's continuous scroll update is going to affect metrics such as clicks and impressions?
So I actually think this is going to be an improvement. And the reason I think it's going to be an improvement is in the old / still current in some results, most people don't leave the first page, right? They don't look at page 2. But the continuous scroll, it just keeps going. So you don't realize you're going on to another page. So those that are ranking on page 2 in position 11, 12, 13, they're going to see more visibility. Now, there'll have to be studies done on this. We'll have to follow the data, and we will definitely keep you guys informed either through a format like this or through some announcements, or just for those of you that are clients, you can ask your account manager, and they will certainly keep you informed in that regard.
So we were just talking about analytics. Someone asked, do we need to set up Google Analytics if we already have regular Google Analytics? If so, why? So I feel like we've been shouting this from the rooftops, especially for our clients. But David, if you want to touch on sort of why we're talking about Google Analytics 4 so much, that would be awesome.
So Universal Analytics, or as most people call it, regular Google Analytics, is going away effective July. It will no longer collect data. It will no longer give you the information you need. They are moving to their new version, which is Google Analytics 4. If you want to keep track of how your website is doing, how much traffic you're getting, your conversions, you need to update this. If you don't, by July, you're out of luck.
And then just to add, again, if you're a current client or if you're not and you don't know how to set up Google Analytics 4, we can definitely help you with that. Feel free to reach out anytime. We have been setting it up for our marketing clients. But if you're a website client or maybe you're not and you're interested in having us help you with that, we're definitely here to lend a hand, so reach out anytime. Couple more questions, then we'll wrap up. David, tell us, why is intent so important when optimizing your website's SEO? This is a little, intent we've learned is so important, and especially, authority and other things like that. But tell us about intent.
So intent is really important. If you don't understand the intent of the keywords, it's hard to know where people are in the marketing funnel. For one, are they just doing research? Are they ready to buy? Or are they ready to do that? So understanding the intent and then having the content on your website set up to answer those questions and to really deliver that information in an accurate way is going to drive conversions. It's going to drive more interest in your product and your site. It's also a good way to design different content on your website. So you might have one landing page that is for somebody who's at the top of the marketing funnel and is just doing research, and it might not have a call to action other than, hey, sign up for a newsletter, stay informed, that kind of thing. Or the intent might be commercial. I'm ready to buy. Well, you want to have different calls to action. You want to have different information out there, and you want to have different reach outs for that kind of thing. So knowing the intent of your audience or the particular keywords allows you, let me go back here. Knowing the intent of the particular keywords allows you to give answers to questions from multiple audiences or people that are at different stages in the marketing funnel, and allows you to really improve your conversion rate and your closure rate.
Great. And then speaking of conversion rate and even click-through, so someone asked, how do I get a rich snippet for my website with SEO, which is certainly something that can help drive additional traffic to your site and additional conversion. So if you want to speak to that, that would be great.
So yeah, so the most common way to be able to do that is using some code on the back end of your website called structured data, or sometimes called schema. And what this does is it basically spoon feeds information to Google in a format that they know and understand, in language that is universal for algorithms, not for humans. That really just gives them that. So if, for instance, you want to get a featured recipe up there, you have the schema up there, and it has the URL to the picture you want to show and the page of the recipe that could be shown in that carousel. If you have an FAQ page and you've seen the section where it says people also ask, it can list all those different questions. And if we have set up those questions and answers in the right format with that schema code, you have a much better chance of ranking within that section.
Awesome. Well, these were great questions. Thank you, everyone who submitted a question and also who answered the poll. It did seem like there was, hopefully some of you going home with some homework to learn about the value of your customers, your close rate, the number of leads you're getting, and the cost of your SEO. It looked like most people were in this webinar investing in SEO. So definitely go, get out your paper and pencil and crunch those numbers for your own company to see, am I getting enough leads and is my close rate high enough? And tinker with those numbers to see if you can increase your investment or increase your return on investment for your SEO. So that's the end of our webinar for today. Thank you, David. Thank you, everyone who attended, and look out for an invitation to next month's webinar about Google Analytics 4. Have a great afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.